Hello everybody and welcome back, and it is time for race 2 here at Brazil at the ZR3 race, ladies and gentlemen. Round 8 and race 2 it is at Brazil. It was qualifying and then the race earlier on and then the reverse grid of the previous race it is. So obviously Matthias GT, who won from pole position in race 1, is going to start in P14. Then Ryan Cooper, who finished P2, is going to start P13. Wes Plenty, who finished third in the previous race, is going to get 12th place. P4 for GT in the previous one, P11 in this one. P5 for Peggy, or Page I shall say, P10 in this one. Nitu in P9, P8 for Johnny, P7 for Kane, P6 for Smoke, followed by Numpty, Le Book, One Power Wood, C Jones, and Wolf. The bottom 3 of the previous one are going to be the top 3 in this one. So looking at the tyres, so in the top 5, Wolf, C Jones, One Power Wood, all starting on a set of soft medium compound tyres. Then Lubbock on a set of softs, and then Numpty Ned on a set of softs as well. Smoke on a set of mediums, Kane on a set of softs, along with Johnny on a set of softs, but then his teammate Nitu on a set of mediums. Softs again for Page, softs for GT as well, mediums for Plenty, and mediums for Ryan as well, along with Matthias, who has a set of mediums. Let's not waste any further time, and let's get to racing, ladies and gentlemen, as we are ready to go racing here in race 2. It's going to be 4 or 5 red lights, and its lights going to be out, and they were held for a little bit longer than hoped for. It's going to be a decent start for Wolf, or no, in fact, it's going to be a very good start for C Jones, heading towards turn 1. He's going to try and get ahead of break ahead of him, and on the inside line is going to get through. Wolf is going to run a little bit wide, and a decent start for Warnborough would have beat 3. Meanwhile, LeBuck is in big pressure from Smoke, who's jumped up Numpty Ned, and Kane in P6 as well already. Meanwhile, at the back there's going on, and there is a lot going on as Page is going to spun round, and a lot has happened at the start of this one, as Matteo's not quite sure what exactly happened, as he's going to be spun round, and he's found himself facing towards the wall. A lot of drivers. Page is at the back of the grid as well. Ryan hasn't been able to get a good start. GT is on it. Johnny in P10. GT's going to be after him, and after to make a move against him, and he does make a move against him in P10. P9 for Plenty in at the moment. He's got a good start as well. Meanwhile, Nita's going to go for it on the inside line of Numpty. It's going to go straight smash into him. Almost make him spun round, but just saves it enough inside. Meanwhile, in Wolf at the moment in P6, followed by Kane in P5. Then comes LeBuck in P4, but he's got a penalty, so he's going to slow down. So expect him to lose a couple of positions with the drivers being very close to each other. And not to forget that C Jones has got a penalty, and I was about to say that he's held his lead, but he goes round, and he's going to be spun round and all the way back to the grid. Unfortunate for him. What was in the previous race a P13 finish for him, it is going to be the same this time, as rather P14 finisher should have been, as he started in P2 along with Wolf in P15, so P13 finish, or rather P14 should have been for C Jones, or it might have been P13 then, because we have 14 drivers, so we've lost out one of the drivers that we had in the previous races around. But look at this one at the front of the field. Smoke in P2 with Kane in P3, all together going for it, and Smoke's going to be looking for it, but nicely defended from One Power Wood, and nicely done from him, and brilliantly defends it to show everybody what he can do. If maybe he can't qualify there, but when he does start at the front, he's going to stay at the front, or is he? As Smoke's going to try and go for it on the inside line, and he can get the move through, and through he goes, does One Power Wood, and he does lose a position, and again on Smoke, he's going to send it on the inside, and he absolutely just gets his front end of the car into the rear of him. It's going to make him spun round, and we could see Smoke facing the wrong way, just gets back straight on track. And absolutely, this is race 2. 2 races always make it fun, but this one was absolutely and he's still in the grass. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. He's maybe trying to let him go. Yes, that might indeed have been the reason he was slowing down. And well, what is exactly going on? Because he's at the moment unable to get out of the grass. He's absolutely, or could just simply be a reason he's just trying to be showing some sportsmanship and let Page through, or Smoke through, in fact, who he absolutely sent it on the inside, had him spun round. Page is now going to be right behind as well. Both of them who were fighting at the front. In fact, no, it is Kane who was fighting at the front, and he's already got the lead. Smoke's going to go for it, and he's going to get B11. And at the top of the field, Kane leads ahead of Book, who's in B2. Book is not far behind, so there might be an opportunity for him to get past, and it'll be interesting. One part of it, remember, he was leading at one time, is at the back now. Plenty in P3. P3 in the previous race, P3 in this one. My God, a lot of reflections from these cars. Meanwhile, D2 is going to be around the outside now. They're going to be side by side. Does Plenty let him get past? No, he doesn't, and he's going to try and fight him off. He does fight him off out there, as D2 will be able to get past just about right now. But in fact, Wolf is going to be able to get past D2, and he's going to get the move done on the outside. Beautifully done, but it's going to run a little bit wide slightly. Might be an opportunity for D2 to come back. No, there's not going to be an opportunity at all. There is somewhat of position switching. Unfortunately, I feel like this game's broadcast camera is not that good in terms of, what we are focusing on and what we need to focus on. Obviously, if I have this camera, I feel like this camera is the best in terms of whatever car we're following and whatever battle we are following. It's a very nice one, but it's nice, but this one just feels like disconnected with the action. It's decent. Meanwhile, in the back, look at this then. Nito and Numpty Ned are going to be at it, and Numpty and Ninu had been fighting, and Numpty's going to get the position and get that fourth place to him. Or can he, though? Because Nito's right behind him, and an opportunity, as soon as it arrives for him, is going to be on the way, as he's going to be making contact, and he's almost going to have him on the back of his car, and nearly make him spun round. Not sure whether Nito went into him or Numpty Ned turned in, which made him spun around. But a lot of drivers, a lot of incidents throughout this race, at least within these 4 laps we've seen. Not a lot. Sure, we saw somewhat incidents in the previous race, but not exactly this many happened in the first one, so definitely a lot more than what we saw in the previous one. Milo Matias, our previous race winner, gets to P5, and he's now only got his teammate to navigate through in P4. He's into the top 4 and a chance to get back to the top 3. We don't list him plenty. He's at the top. Is Rob, if I'm not mistaken, their real name. Sure, Kane is doing a decent job as well at the moment. Obviously, being on a racing soft tyres, Plenty tyres are very good actually. E2 tyres for Plenty and for Mateus as well. Look very good, of course. Different than those soft tyres. Mediums Benito as well. And Ryan's going to be slowing down. He's towards P8, but relatively others around him have had a good start, considering where they started in this round. Page in P11 so far, fighting with Smoke for the top 10 position. C. Jones, after a very good start, spun on his own, just lit his car, and finds himself in P12 again. On the start, he would have been rather looking for, so unfortunate for him. But what about Wolf? He finds himself at the back as well. Start finished P14 in the previous one, and 13 drivers. Alright, so one Parawood might have just retired, and I believe he would have retired. I think 14 started, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe somebody at the start also retired. So 13 drivers now in this race remain. Meanwhile, the top 2 are still pretty close, and LeBook, along with Kane, at the top of the field, and that is now nice. Alright, so actually the issue might have been earlier in the previous race. I pressed L2 and then I was navigating with the D-pad, which unfortunately was not able to navigate through. But actually with this, we can know where everybody is. Plenty's in P3, GT in P4, followed by Johnny in P6, Nido in P7, P9, P8, and then P11 for Smoke, P12 for Page, P12 for Page, P11 for Page, P10 for Smoke. Then Wolf in P13, our final driver running out on track. So 5 laps in, as our race leader is going to be heading towards the final lap, not the final lap, sorry, lap 6 out of 17. This race has relatively, pretty much went a bit quicker as compared to the previous races. Just make sure, and already a soft tire runner for Buck. It comes into the pits and, oh, we could see. I was about to say that his tyres quite look good, but no, look at that front right. The front right looks in a horrible condition, and unfortunately that pretty much would have been the reason that would have forced him an early pit stop on lap 5, because remember GT in the previous race pitted very early as compared to everyone around him, which unfortunately made him lose out a lot of positions at the, not a lot, still finished P4 I believe, if I'm not wrong, but he was rather close to the top 3 drivers, to Plenty and to Cooper before the stops than he was after the stops, because pretty much different strategies and different things. We know the 2 teammates are still there, and Matthias is in P4. Obviously GT in P3, but obviously one of the Netbook, LeBook pitting out. They would have had it easy to obviously get that position, but the 2 teammates are still staying where they are, and not much is going on, or not much is happening out at the front. Or is there going to be a chance for Matthias GT to get past GT, which is apparently his name, so that is interesting to say the least. I wonder if there is... Alright, so this doesn't happen here, but I wonder if this happens in real, in a live session, because I remember it playing the game myself. I would press a certain button on the controller and it would show the real name of drivers, so not quite sure if that's the case in the replay or not. But look at this one then. Kane leads ahead of Plenty in P2. That is nice. The top 2 are certainly, at least our leader Kane is doing a brilliant job in the lead. Plenty is a few seconds behind him. He's just ahead of GT and ahead of Matthias GT in P3 and 4, and definitely the Project GT teammates are doing a very decent job as a team. And now Matthias GT ever closer to GT ahead. Can he get past? No, not at the moment, or not just yet, but not sure how long it is going to be. So looking at others at the track, Johnny and E2 in P6 and P5 and 6, the 2 teammates. P7 for Ryan Cooper, P8 for Smoke, and this is going to be interesting. Smoke and Page might be in a bit of battle of their own, and an opportunity, and we might just see a move for him to get past, and he does get past. Or no, in fact they're going to be side by side between the 2. Round the outside is going to be Page, which might become the inside line into the next corner. It doesn't, in fact. Into the next one it would have, but he's not close enough to call it a racing line, inside line, or get enough closer to Smoke to have a chance or go for any of the moves. And C-Jones at the moment in P10, but that would have been the reason that Lundberg and Numsina, both their teammates having pitted earlier on, would have allowed them to move. So look at this one, the 2 teammates are still together, and Matthias is still unable to get past. He just hasn't been able to make an overtake on his teammate. When does he get the move done though? As meanwhile Kane along with GT come into the pits at the end of lap 5 then, lap 6 into lap 7 actually. It's the end of, as the leader's going to go into the lap 8 then. So they're pretty much halfway distance done now in this race. Not just yet, obviously 8.5 laps is going to be your halfway distance in this race. So we're nearly halfway distance in this one, just about right now. Plenty leads ahead of Matthias, ahead of Johnny in P3. Bit of a moment you would have thought. Slightly on the exit, might have lost the car. Matthias, an oversteer moment, but he gets the car back in control. Johnny in P3, D2 in P4, Ryan in P5, followed by Smoke and Page, still going for that little fight. Obviously others behind have pitted. Quite a few of them have now pitted. Pretty much all those on a set of Racing Soft tyre would have pitted, and indeed they have pitted overall. So look at this one then. An opportunity for Page to get through, an opportunity for Page to overtake, but also for Smoke to defend. Can he do that? Can Smoke defend his position? I wonder, not just yet. Meanwhile, look at this one. Kane and Numpty, Ned and Ney and LeBook has managed to undercut Kane. This is brilliant then. So he's undercut quite a few drivers. Obviously, he was at the front, but Kane was leading, I believe. LeBook was in P2, but he's pitted earlier and he's undercut Kane. So that is a brilliant start for him. Meanwhile, the fastest lap still goes to Matthias, our previous race winner, and there is a yellow flag at some of the corners there. Not sure who spun round. 9 laps into this race now. Obviously, Plenty still stays out, along with all those with Matthias on a set of mediums, and Johnny, look at that. His tyres are absolutely gone, especially that front right tyre. He's going to find it absolutely difficult to drive on those tyres, and he's keeping it just on track. And look at that, it's into a left-hander. Obviously, the front right tyre is going to get that pressure on it into a left-hand fast corner. He ran slightly wide, so P4 for Nido, P5 for Cooper at the moment, P6 for Smoke, and P7 for Page. Smoke and Page are all going at it at once more, and all these guys on a set of medium. Page on a set of racing soft compound tyres. That is brilliant for Page. I mean, still staying out. It's interesting in terms of, you know, he's staying out still. He's trying to do the job. He's doing the job indeed. So that is interesting and brilliantly done. So lap 7, sorry, P7 for Page, and he's just unable to get past Smoke. I wonder if he's just staying behind, he's just maintaining position. Meanwhile, one man who wouldn't want to maintain position would be Nito against Johnny. Johnny's tyres are absolutely gone. Look at that, front right tyre is absolutely red, so he'll have almost zero grip on that, and understandably comes into the pit lane and straight into the pit box, along with Plenty as well, as we've seen him go long on those tyres, but earlier on he might pit early on these tyres, obviously starting at the back, so he might have had to fight a little bit more and definitely go for it, go for much better, you know, not better, but in terms of just more hard work and putting those tyres up to temperature, up to their potential more than before, which would eventually mean they have to pit. So at the front, Mateos, who's just staying out still, as he's got the lead so far from P15 on the grid into P1, has done our race leader at the moment. He won race 1. How much is he going to be doing, or what exactly is he going to be looking at in race 2? That is a question, obviously, we are looking for, and that is an answer we are looking for. Obviously, Nitu in P2, Ryan in P3, both on a set of medium compound tyres. So that is interesting, with Smoke in P4, followed by Page in P5, still behind Smoke for most of the part, with Page's tyres similar to Johnny's tyres are completely gone, especially the front right tyres. The front right, especially that soft tyre, these drivers are not having it easy at all. So the front right, obviously a left end, a lot of left hand corners around here, so definitely these drivers pushing around, pushing very much. A lot is finding it hard for them. Meanwhile, look at this one, this little battle. So this one between Nitu and Ryan is going to be on, but Ryan's going to come straight into the pit lane, but these drivers at the back of the field after making a pit stop. Plenty in P5 with Ryan and Page pitting. They might actually go to P4. With Kane in P7, Kane has just got past Lubbock, who actually undercut Kane on that strategy and exited out ahead of him when even Kane pitted and went into the pit lane. So the job was done between these guys. Meanwhile, at the back, this is interesting, but in fact they are out on track. Johnny has pitted. Oh, Johnny has pitted, so that is brilliant. But he's just behind GTs, and depends where GT ends. Johnny's going to have to end up right behind him, eventually out on track. So that is interesting between the two. Is there going to be an opportunity for GT to get closer? Sorry, for Johnny to get closer? No, he's not close enough at all. Meanwhile, Plenty is pulling away. He is actually pulling away from these guys already. Considering, I mean, understandably, considering these guys pitted a lap earlier, but also the fact that he's on a set of soft compound tires. Obviously, it's a strategy. I mean, in a 17-lap race, 25-minute race, it's about strategy, but it's going to be a one-stop always. You know, it's you want a little bit of fuel, you get that. You want new tires, you get that. But it's always going to be either medium soft or soft medium, or even if it is medium hard or hard medium, it's always going to be a one-stop, you know, in a 17-lap race. So let's say in a 20-lap race. So unless it's many more laps, only then we'd see the, you know, much different strategies between everyone, but that is now going to be interesting as everybody around is going to be in the pit box as Mateus is going to get those mediums off and got those soft tires on. There is Plenty. He's just going into the center S's now. Does he get closer? Does Mateus exit ahead of Plenty, or Plenty leads up front at the top, and he does indeed lead up at the front as Mateus is right behind. He's not closer just yet, not close enough to come out of the pit lane ahead of Plenty, so he stayed out for a while, but that might have not been in favor of him. Sure, it would be favor of him in terms of he's pitted later, he's pitted later, he's going to have better tires than everybody else around at the later part of the race, but not many laps now remain. Even after this one, it's going to be 6 laps to the end of this one, so definitely it's going to be a bit of, not a bit of problem, but obviously a lot of laps to do for definitely for Mateus, to even get closer. Okay, am I actually pronouncing this nice? Mateus. Yes, it is Mateus. So unless it's Mateus or Mateus, apologies about that, but I'm just going to say Mateus because that's what looks good to me. Ooh, a little bit of a slide and nearly on the curb. Mateus slightly lost the car. You'd have thought he's going to lose the car, but just gets the car back in control for that Project GT team. He's going front at the top, very nice and easy. Meanwhile, the Highland Farmers Championship leader, Plenty at the top, continues to lead this race. He won back in Austria, one of the races. Race 1, I believe he won, as far as I remember correctly. Race 1 here at Brazil. It was Mateus who currently finds himself in P4. Can he get closer? Because Labuc and Kane are pretty closer, but he's got a penalty. Plenty was far away, and I was about to say he's far away from the rest of the drivers, but eventually he's in a better driver. He's a better, not a better driver, but obviously he will be a better driver, but what I meant was, he's far away. Depends on how much far away he is, but also it also depends how early can Plenty get through these guys, because Plenty is slightly leading and he's got a gap as compared to those guys. He's got a penalty though, he'll have to slow down, but it'll also depend on when does Mateus get through these guys, and then how much time or how much laps he has to overtake everybody around. And looking at the back of the field again, it is going to be Smoke in P9, P10 for Page, P11 for Numpty Ned. Then comes Wolf in P12, slightly goes wide, does Wolf there, but brilliantly done. Plenty in P1 as he leads nice and easy so far. Lap 13, he's going to go to lap 14 and another lap. At the moment he's got the fastest lap, the 132.3, as I just was about to say that. It is none other than Mateus who gets the fastest lap and gets it by a few tenths. 132.0, 132.2 was, I believe, for Plenty, but it is over that, and he's passed Labuc as well. He's made one position. Now it's time for him to do that in the remaining 4 laps, including this one. Obviously 3 laps after this one, including this one's going to be 4 laps, or rather 3.5 laps now remain, and he needs to get ahead of 2 more cars to have a chance at the race lead, to have a chance at the victory of this race. Can he do it though? That is going to be an extraordinary race win if he can get it in these ending moments. Obviously Plenty won't have it easy on him. Sure, he could get closer to him. He could even get ahead of Kane, or Kane even get closer and within a few tenths of Plenty, but I'm sure Plenty's going to do everything to defend. He couldn't win race 1. He couldn't win race 1. He's going to try and win race 2. So definitely that's going to be on the charge. Meanwhile, Johnny in P6 at the moment just does his personal best at the end of this middle sector. How much or how good is he going to be into this final one about now? Cooper and Nidu, but not close enough, not enough to be going for a move, or an opportunity for a move at this point. Meanwhile, The closest battles at the moment, as it looks, it is between these two. GT and Johnny at the back. Sure, there is Ryan and E2, but it's just not enough, obviously, between these guys to be going for a move as well just yet. So at the back of the grid, Smoke in P9, Page in P10, so in the bottom top 10 positions. Numpty he's in again. Oh, he's out of fuel. Numpty's out of fuel, and he unfortunately has to pit one more time. He might have not timed fuel very good at all, as again is in Wolf. I wonder if Wolf pitted before or not. Rather, he's coming again, P13 for him, and we don't find C. Jones, so that means he's retired out of this race. As now, Matthews is through and ahead of Kane already. So one more driver and another driver who's going to be in big challenge and a big problem for Matthews. As I said, he's going to get closer to him, but Plenty might not allow him to get through early. But is that going to be the case, though, because of how fast and with speed that Matthews is driving through, and he's driven throughout the whole session so far? What is going to be the case for him, and what or how many laps will he need? Because we're coming to the end of lap 15 now, so lap 16 and 17 are going to be the two remaining laps that he will get. And looking at fuel, slightly more does Matthews have. Even his tyre conditions looks better, because obviously he pitted a few laps later than Plenty pitted, so that could well be all the strategy that we talk about might come to this, might come to the end of the last few laps. And this is nicely interesting then between GT, Johnny, Nitu and Cooper. 4-car fight is going to be on the way. Apologies about that, as we would want to focus on that, but meanwhile a race lead could be on the challenge. A race lead could well be on the verge of getting taken out. Meanwhile, Matthews is going to be trying all he can. Remember, this is going to be brilliant for Project GT as a team. Not one, but 2 wins, and in 2 races, in race 1 and in race 2, could well be a brilliant thing to say the least. Ooh, he's going to get closer. He's getting as closer as it gets. Plenty might have made a mistake there, as that's going to allow Matthews to get closer on lap 16. At the end of lap 16, Matthews, after starting plumb last, and Plenty starting a little bit further ahead of him, he goes a little bit wide. He goes very wide, and that's going to allow for him to get through. And Matthews takes the lead of race 2 here in Interlagos and gets into himself. Plenty might try and come back at him, but he's got more fuel. Remember, Matthews got slightly more fuel and better tyres than Plenty has. This could be interesting. Does he go for it on the inside line? We don't have the information, but he's going to run wide. He's going to absolutely run wide, but no, he's not went for it. He runs slightly wide again, but he's going to come back on track, and Plenty is not going to be able to get the move this time around. But is he going to try it again, as Matthews has went defensive on the inside line already? He gets back to the racing line once more, and he might just have it on himself. He might just have it to himself. Or is it going to be the case, and the fuel on Plenty's car is already red? Does he drive slow? Does he be a little bit careful so that he could make it to the line? Remember, one of the drivers in the previous race couldn't get to the line because of fuel. Because of his fuel, he was just limping back to the grid, to the end of the grid. So just about to get to the end of this middle sector, of the middle part of the circuit. Matthews GT still leads. He took the lead of the Grand Prix at the previous lap, and he still has kept it to himself. And he's going to do it once more. Now we're back, we're into the final sector. Slightly has a moment, but so does Plenty. And now we're getting to the end of it. It is P3 for Kane. We forgot that in the moment, but it is going to be the end, ladies and gentlemen. Matthews, who won race 1, is going to win race 2 from the last place on the grid. Brilliantly done. 2 wins in 2 rounds. Plenty in P2. Kane in P3 as well. And what a brilliant result for LeBuck, for Netbook Racing in P4. GT in P5. So a brilliant weekend for for Project GT as a whole. And what about Ryan Cooper? I believe it was Ashton GP for Ryan in P6-4, and P7 for Johnny, P8 for Smoke, P9 for Page, P11 for Numpty, and P12 for Wolf. Then, but brilliantly done as Page is slowly going on. What about Numpty, Ned, and Wolf? Both of them have got very slow, or in fact not much fuel remaining, but they're going to try and get the job done. So that's going to be the end, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Mateos wins once more and gets the job done against the all odds. And brilliant challenge of Plenty Even couldn't be enough to challenge Mateos, and he gets the victory out there. So he was going to win in P1 2 races, and he's going to get victory in both of them. Plenty in P2, a good 2 podiums for him as well. Kane, brilliant job in this one as a whole. Ned Book Racing will love this, with Le Book finishing in P4. GT in P5, another top 5 position for him, and a good weekend as a whole for Project GT. Then comes Ryan Cooper in P6, with Johnny in P7 for Allied Racing, with P8 for Smog. Nito in P9, just completing out the top 10. It's going to be Page, followed by Numpty Ned in P11. Then comes Wolf in P12. So that's going to be the end of it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all watching enjoyed it. This was race 2, and once again it was myself, Zappy, bringing you all the action. Unfortunately we couldn't stream this week because of some issues, but we hope you all watching really enjoyed all the action. And from all of us here at Apex Racing and myself, we're out. Peace, adios, enjoy, and have fun.